Connecticut is for those that aren't familiar with our group. Solar Connecticut started about 10 years ago. It is a member-supported representation group, trade group for residential home solar contractors and commercial solar contractors. We spend most of our work at the state capitol lobbying legislators for new and better policies that promote solar, and at the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, PURA, encouraging them to establish regulations also to support solar going forward. We became familiar with Sustainable CT a couple of years ago when they were open to the idea of streamlining home solar permitting as one of their criteria for the point system. So thanks, Sustainable CT, for the work that you do. One of the reasons we got involved with SolarAPP, and we're going to talk about that in detail in a little bit, is that, believe it or not, the soft costs like permitting, unlike hard costs, modules and inverters and racking and the like, soft costs make up a larger part of the project cost, the overall project cost today. It used to be that wildly expensive solar panels and other hard materials represented the largest part of the solar project cost. But that's been exceeded now by administrative costs, acquisition costs, and permitting. So we got very excited when the people at the national level, people at the Solar Energy Industry Association, SEIA, the National Solar Trade Group, UL, code officials, those people at the NFPA and others got together and put together what we think is the new gold standard in terms of permitting home solar systems. So we're very interested in talking to local building officials, helping understand how this tool could be of help to you. We want to stress, and the guys will speak about the tool in a minute, the importance of getting permitting right at the local level. This permit software tool has been demonstrated across the country. It works, and it works well. And best of all, it's cost-free to local municipalities. I know that some of you on the call today already have a solar permitting app already, whether it's an OpenGL or a Sela or View Permit or something else. This SolarAPP system was designed to integrate with all those systems, all those apps and others, or can operate as a standalone. So if you haven't introduced a permitting software yet to your system, to your operation, and you'd like to explore SolarAPP as a standalone, it works on that level as well. So let's get into the details. The expectation today is to walk you around the software, let you kick the tires a little bit. If it's something that you think you'd like to know more about, you think it might help you in your town, we'd be happy to set up a more detailed demonstration one-on-one. And with that, I'll turn it over to Steve Pope at SEIA. Steve?
Hey, thanks very much, Mike. Appreciate that. So well said. I think I would just echo everything he just said. So I'm going to just introduce myself and then Seth Crew from NREL. I'm Steve Pope. I'm with SEIA. I'm their SolarAPP outreach manager. So my job is to go out and to educate the installer base, as well as reaching out to the AHJs themselves directly and letting them know how SolarAPP Plus is going to be helping them with getting an automated permit for solar immediately that costs them nothing at the AHJ level, and it also makes sure that the permit that they've got is a compliant one. And this works in about 70 to 80% of the cases that we see when it comes to solar permitting. Solar permits are pretty much by and large very uniform, and the ability to have them programmatically checked is one of the things that really excited me. I had come from the installer base. I came from Momentum Solar, and then prior to that, I was at Trinity Solar. So I knew firsthand how bad the permitting system, well, I thought I knew how bad it was. Once I got into this, I realized it is even worse than I thought. Across the country, there are wildly inefficient systems that are out there, and people that are really struggling to get permitting down correct. And they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, and frankly, this is a problem that the government saw and pulled together a coalition of people that really understood the problem and have been working extremely diligently and extremely hard to build a tool that will work for everybody. And the nice part about this system is that they're forward thinking. They're looking to, how do we address solar now? What's coming next? Solar and storage, solar and EV. They're thinking ahead several steps in the future and putting together a system that will work for years to come. And I think that that's, for me, the more exciting part. And what Mike had mentioned earlier is that we're working together with the government software providers that you already are working with. So if it's Excel or if it's eTrack or whatever, we're working in tandem. It's an and, not an or. It's an and, not an or. I just want to be really clear on that. Now, with that, I do want to introduce Seth Crew from NREL. He's going to be joining us to help answer any questions that I can't. So Seth, I'll let you take it away, and then if you can hand it back to me, I'll get into the meat of the presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you, Steve. Hello, everybody. I'm Seth Crew with the National Renewable Energy Lab. And I've been doing mostly outreach to jurisdictions with SolarAPP for close to 6 months now. So I work pretty closely with Steve and talking to jurisdictions that might be interested in SolarAPP. And I also do a lot of onboarding assistance. So if you end up, if you're interested in SolarAPP and end up initiating a pilot phase for solar, I'd probably be involved in those. And I also develop a lot of informational resources for SolarAPP's website and that kind of thing. And I'll also drop our contact email if you have any questions about SolarAPP, and because I also help manage our inbox and support jurisdictions and installers. So for any questions you have about SolarAPP, feel free to route them my way. And for some of the technical and engineering questions that you might have, I know who to ask. So it's good to have you all on the call today. Thank you.
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to mention one thing that I didn't mention earlier, and I wanted everyone on the phone to know that neither Seth at NREL or Steve at SIA or me at Solar Connecticut, none of us have a financial stake in SolarAPP. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's UL that's going to be managing the system and its outreach going forward. So I just want to make sure that everybody knew that in advance. Thanks, Steve. Yeah,
no, that's a good point, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. Again, it is, it's free to adopt for an AHJ, so it's no cost. The government has picked up the tab for the development of this resource for everybody here. So with that, I'm going to try to share this screen, and I hope you guys can just bear with me for a moment as I try to get this done correctly. Is everybody able to see my screen? Oh, no.
Looks good on our end, Steve.
Okay, one sec. Are you still able to see just my screen?
Yeah, we're good here, Steve.
All right, wonderful. All right, so again, I want to just thank you all for taking the time to do this. This is an important new program, and we hope that what we're showing you today will be something that you can integrate into your process. So as I had mentioned from the outset, this is a collaborative effort. As you can see, we've really pulled in the best of the best, the ICC, NFPA, UL, many other, IREC, many other code officials, as well as industry experts, people that are foundational to our particular industry, Sunrun, Tesla, SunPower, to build a tool that they know is going to work for both sides of the fence. So both for the AHJ as well as for the installer. The idea behind this is, again, we wanted to automate rooftop solar plan review, so it would produce a compliant approval instantly. So this is no longer waiting a couple of days. This is, if an installer inputs the information correctly, they're going to get an instant permit that allows them to know that what they've got is in fact a compliant solution. In fact, when San Jose automated their PV approvals process online, they experienced a 6x growth. And this is the type of growth that clearly equates to more business, leading to more local resources and frankly, more revenue with less effort to the AHJ. And it's meant to be an online, it's meant to be easy. And I will say that this really took off, I think, the idea hammered home when we were going through COVID-19, where people had to do things remotely, that offices were closed or they weren't expecting to have anybody inside the office. And it allows you to have that kind of hands-free, no touch experience. And it's very valuable. So one of the things that we're talking about here is we want to make sure that you guys are aware that this is designed with both safety and environmental environmental outcomes at its outset. The people that are working on this really do take an enormous amount of care and time when it comes to the development of this program. And they really try to make it so that it is very much clear to the installer as to what they're doing. So if they're putting in information, that what they're putting in is going to give a compliant outcome. The codes are always changing, but so is SolarAPP Plus. That is one thing that we are committed to doing, is to make sure that as codes change, as the technologies evolve, as we go into the future, that this is a tool set that will continue to evolve and continue to get better and be flexible to the situation that's changing, whether it's the code or it's the new technologies that are out there. Solar has really remained popular as a revenue source for many AHJs. Even during the pandemic, solar was still having some of its biggest revenue months, and I think that that's a good thing for AHJs to be able to recognize that this is how a local government can continue to build revenue streams. Right. By the way, before we go too much further, I would like for the people that are on the demonstration, if you could just enter in your name and your email into the chat and which AHJ you're from, and whether or not you have a permitting tool set already. I think that would be a very helpful for us at SolarAPP to understand a little bit more about who's on the call and the people that we're working with. So one of the things that we encountered early on, or at least was eye-opening for me, was some of the soft costs that are involved with rooftop solar in our country, comparatively speaking. Mike had alluded to this in the very beginning, that soft costs are a big part of this. I didn't realize it until I came here, how much of a difference it is for the US compared to some of our nearest competitors like Germany, the UK, and Australia. I mean, we're almost 2 times the cost of doing business, and that's just unacceptable. And I think one thing that we need to be recognizing is in this very competitive market. I mean, look, they're competitors, they're allies, but they're competing. We're all competing for building a stronger economy, and if we can help lower those costs, that's a very big deal. The industry invests thousands of dollars in customers to get them to the stage where they're getting the engineering work. But once your constituents design is complete and the permit and the interconnection applications are in, they're left to wait. And they may get distracted and move on to something else. And even once the install has been approved, the homeowner needs to find time in their calendar to take that next step. And it's all very uncertain for them. And unfortunately, about 10% of potential solar adopters drop out during the process for every week of delay to install. And that may seem like I'm not sure if it seems like a big number or not, but I can tell you from personal experience, a 10% drop is a big deal for our industry. It is time out of the salesperson's and the engineering team and the permitting team and the customer service team. It's a lot more money that's invested from the installer's perspective, but it's also money out of the pocket of the AHJ and the local economy there, because they're losing a potential solar customer. So, as I had mentioned from the beginning, one of the reasons why the government decided to tackle this is rooftop solar is typically consistent and common. Given conversations we've had with other dozens of jurisdictions, PV projects are fairly cookie cutter and easy to approve, and often take no more time than an hour to review. But because of the sheer volume of the applications, when they sit down in a queue, SolarAPP can cover 70 to 80% of the permits submitted for solar and approve them without delay. So even if it took an hour to do one review of a permit, we can get that taken off of somebody's desk and allow them to focus on other more revenue generating activities, activities that these mid-level permitters at your AHJ can then kind of focus on other projects. Now, SolarAPP is strict about what can be considered standardized. If a project doesn't meet our eligibility, it'll get kicked out and must go through your traditional review process. So through SolarAPP, you'll get the same permitting fees, and you'll likely see your total collections go up as faster approvals keep more homeowners on track. Now, if I may, I would like to ask a question to the group. Please let us know. Do you see that most of those residential permits that you're doing are typically common, cookie cutter? If you wouldn't mind just going ahead and putting your answers in the chat, we'd appreciate that too. I'll continue on. Ooh. No, it's not working. There we go. Is everybody seeing my SolarAPP plus eligibility now?
Yeah, you're good, Steve.
Okay, all right. It froze there for a second. I just want to make sure. So this is our eligibility as of today. So these systems are currently compatible with SolarAPP. You have to be on NEC 2017 and IBC 2018, as well as Title 24. And very soon we'll be compatible with NEC 2020. And also coming very soon, SolarAPP will be able to instantly approve applications for residential solar, which we are pretty excited about. I was hoping that we will be able to get that done probably by the end of the year. I would say almost assuredly, but it's software, so I can't say that for sure, but I feel very good about it, and I think Seth will agree. So SolarAPP, as I mentioned, is going to continually update with the new codes, and we'll be also able to do applications for EV charging and quite a bit more. So this is your typical your process, your flow for SolarAPP Plus. This little guide is a high-level overview of what a contractor would walk through in SolarAPP. So that's step one. The installer spends about 15 minutes moving through fire, structural, electrical, and workers' comp questions, and there are about 50 in total. Our system is automating checks that you would otherwise do for yourself visually. Step two is if the installer gets any of those questions incorrect, the system will give them live feedback, guiding them towards a compliant answer. Because it's automated, it can be done very quickly and catch code issues, typos, errors, and because it's responsive, it's able to return corrections and provide guidance for getting that answer correct. That would otherwise require kind of that back and forth that sometimes you get when an installer does something wrong. This is going to be able to do so programmatically in real time. And because it can help limit those questions, it's going to be especially valuable for those new installers that may be getting some of those questions that normally would be wrong, right. And they can, again, kind of, your people can focus on the other stuff. Now, if they are able to get a complete and compliant applications, they're going to pay for the SolarAPP administrative fee and your permitting fee at the same time. And once payment is complete, the permit is instantly issued with the inspection checklist and other content for your inspection team to verify in the field. And again, this is all through a no-touch process and allows for 24/7 instant permitting. So this can be done even at night when your people are not around. Now, here are the two different adoption options that we provide. The first one is what we call the standalone model. And this is for jurisdictions who only accept applications via email or mail or in person. And as you can see, it starts with the installer inputting their project and paying our $25 admin fee. Again, that's an admin fee for SolarAPP. Now, at this point, they are now able to pay your city and county's fees directly in SolarAPP using a Stripe account, which is very easy to set up, by the way. The approval documents for the project are stored in SolarAPP for easy and future access. And finally, the permit gets issued instantly, and all permit and inspection documents are sent to both the installer and the jurisdiction. Now, the other model is the integration model, which is probably a little bit more familiar for those of you who are using an online permitting portal such as Excella or Tyler Energov or eTrackIt, or enter in your other online permitting system. We work with all of them. And if there is something that's brand new that we haven't, please let us know, and we'll work with you during this whole process. But the method starts the same. You're going to have the installer inputting their project, paying the $25 admin fee. The approval documents for the project are stored in SolarAPP for easy future access and available for the installer to download. The installer would now be directed back to your system where they can pay their permitting fees and upload all SolarAPP approval docs, and then your system would then instantly issue the permit. And that's how we do that. So, truthfully, there's 4 steps in the adoption of SolarAPP. The first is we would need to select the right model for you of SolarAPP, either that integration or that standalone, whichever one fits you best. The next step would be input your local settings. These include aspects such as permitting contacts, wind and snow, and temperature variables, model code years, and a few other pieces. And this is something our team would be helping you with. And as Seth alluded to earlier, this is something that he helps with kind of the onboarding. And next would be to set up an instant workflow. If you're moving forward with the standalone model, this would include setting up permit payments in SolarAPP through Stripe. If you're moving forward with the integration model, then you would need to set up an instant workflow within your software. And again, our people are here to help you do all that. And then finally, the launch. You would need to invite about 1 to 3 installers that would use SolarAPP for permitting to start and run a pilot. Usually that pilot can take a couple of weeks to a month. And we're basically just making sure that everything lines up, that anything that we had to customize is done correctly, and that SolarAPP is issuing permits the right way for the installers that are in your area. And that brings me to the end of it. Give me 1 sec to pause that share and then give me one, hold on 1 sec here. Close out of here. Well, of course, now that I'm trying, there we go. All right, so I wanted to just open this up to questions to the floor. Allow Seth to be able to add in any color commentary that he felt like I missed, and turn it over from there. Seth, is there anything that I missed that you'd like to add in?
It seems like you covered pretty much all the basics. I did want to mention on the slide about eligibility, we are able to process main panel upgrades now, just as a note. And so if your jurisdiction doesn't want SolarAPP to be able to process main panel upgrades or breaker derates, that's a feature that you could disable if you'd like, but that is something that SolarAPP can process. So if you're interested in moving forward, that's something we can do. And I also wanted to address a question that we got about the I codes and the code cycles. So again, SolarAPP is built to be compatible with the 2017 NEC and the 2018 IBC and IRC. However, we know most Connecticut jurisdictions are on the 2015 a version of the 2015 I codes. And so how we've worked with jurisdictions before in terms of getting them, ensuring that they're compatible with SolarAPP is it will maybe have to be a case by case basis, but when we do start talking with working when we're a little bit further down the path of adoption with a Connecticut jurisdiction, we can discuss exactly what might be in conflict with SolarAPP's requirements and your jurisdiction's requirements. And since SolarAPP is a completely voluntary tool to adopt, we believe that jurisdictions are able to have this process for especially the typical systems that are coming through. And what we'll do is after a more one-on-one technical demo where you get the chance to answer detailed questions, we'll have a separate meeting where we have engineers from the SolarAPP team, and then we'll get down and actually outline what conflicts there might be between SolarAPP's requirements and the 2015 code cycles or the amendments that come with that. So that's all to say that we believe that just because you're on a previous code cycle, SolarAPP can be used for your community as a sort of voluntary compliance mechanism for the 2018 I codes. And if there's any conflicts, we would identify those before we would start the pilot.
Yeah, well said, Seth. Thank you for pointing that out. One other thing I just wanted to mention, I think people had asked in the chat, have there been any other Connecticut HJs that have adopted this? We've just launched this in July 15th. So this is fairly new to the world in terms of opening it up to the larger, to the country at large. But we do have, I think, over close to 2,000 permits that have gone through the system now, and it is well vetted. It works, and it is working in Arizona and in California quite well. We have a number of AHJs that are getting closer to full adoption in both of those states. And again, take it for what it's worth. Arizona and California, they just kind of beat everybody to the punch, and that they had the early lead in having some towns, some AHJs that were adopting it for the pilot program to begin with. But I have full faith that Connecticut and the East Coast will catch up in due time. There's no doubt in my mind that there's plenty of people who recognize that this is an efficiency play, and that they're going to be able to free up a lot of time and certainly add a lot of value to their to their town and their cities.
Hey, Steve, it's Mike. I just wanted to add that to the local officials on the call now really is a great time to kind of check this out, because you've really got the attention and the time, not just of Seth at NREL and Steve at SIA, but me as well. Installers around Connecticut are very much interested in seeing something like this, obviously get adopted, so you'll have their involvement, and other people, other technical people who've been involved with this from the beginning are all going to be available to any municipality right now that wants to get started. Second, I think what will happen for municipalities that do adopt SolarAPP is you're going to find that installers are going to fine-tune their applications to meet the fast-track SolarAPP process. So if you're getting some wild and crazy applications for home solar, which I suspect you probably do, those likely would not gain swift action through SolarAPP. It is those basic systems that are going to move through the app quickly, and I think that installers will be conditioned to submit applications that will get quick passage. Hopefully that would make everybody's life less complicated.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something, Mike, that's really important, and something that the people down in Texas have really kind of honed in on and focused on, is that they get a lot of what they deem fly-by-night solar companies. And in order to use SolarAPP, a homeowner that's wanting to do solar on their roof is not using SolarAPP. They're using your traditional permitting process. That's one of the things that gets kicked out. You need to have your local licenses as an installer uploaded to SolarAPP and be registered with SolarAPP before you can even begin to put it in a permit for SolarAPP. So it really does several steps of vetting that are important. I mean, again, we want to make sure that the industry is held to a high standard. We want you guys to feel like your constituents are using installers that are held to that high standard, and I think that's a good thing for the industry and for both sides of it, right? You want to be able to show that your constituents, that you are protecting them in some manner, and again, this does a level of that vetting process for you. So I think it, again, coming from the installer side, I do feel like it's an important component to making sure that we're keeping everybody on the up and up.
Steve, I would say this, that we've got for some local officials who couldn't join today, they've requested a demonstration. So we'll be doing, those demonstrations, so one-on-one situations to answer specific questions. So anybody on the call today that would like to follow suit, we're certainly, obviously, very eager to work with you and give our time and expertise to you and see if we can improve the process at the local level. Chad, maybe we can take some questions, or if folks want to use the raise hand feature, or if they just want to shout a question out. I think we've got maybe 15 or 12 people on the call. Whatever way you think is best, Chad.
Whatever is easiest for the audience members. If you want to send your chats with your questions, or if you want to raise your hand and speak them verbally because you have a more in-depth question than type in, feel free and we'll call on you.
Yeah, I know there was a question from Barat and Stanford about the code issue. Did we answer that question completely for you?
Yes, Michael. I think what I heard was that it's going to require some amount of customization and probably cross-checking requirements under 2015 I codes, which Connecticut uses, versus the 2018 I codes, which the SolarAPP is designed to use. And I guess that's fine. That does give me some background that this is not off the shelf. We cannot simply, click a switch and make it work. It's going to take some effort and work.
Yeah.
Right. There would be a little bit of a navigation of the cross-referencing mostly. So, for example, Tucson and Pima County, Arizona, They were on previous code cycles as well. I believe they were on the cycle before 2015 for the IRC and IBC. And they were one of our early adopters. So it's not to say, this isn't to say that necessarily what worked for Tucson would work for Connecticut jurisdiction. Because especially if Connecticut has their own set of amendments to the 2015 codes. But that is something that we're confident that we could work out with you, because the cross-referencing exercise is something that we've been successful at before. And so that's the first piece. And the second part about customization, I did want to mention that there are some parts of SolarAPP that are customizable. So when Steve mentioned the local settings, specifically referring to the wind speed and the snow load and the ambient temperature variables, those types of things, those are all customizable to your jurisdiction. But if there's a specific code provision that we haven't necessarily seen anywhere else, it's not so easy to just turn that on in SolarAPP just for your jurisdiction. So because one of the goals of SolarAPP is to make sure that these applications are standardized across jurisdictions so we can increase the quality of installs across the board. We might be able to add some specific items to our inspection documentation and that type of thing. So there are some things that are customizable, but in terms of the code checks and compliance checks that SolarAPP runs, it's less customizable in that sense. So I did want to kind of make that part clear. And that might be a little more clear if we do a one-on-one technical demonstration with your jurisdiction as well.
And I guess another question is, since everybody in Connecticut uses the same codes, if you set it up for one jurisdiction, you should be able to create some type of a module that you can replicate in other jurisdictions, right? So they're not going through the same process over and over again.
Right. I think the first jurisdiction might take a little more of that navigation of to make sure that it's the code that is compatible with your jurisdiction's codes. But after that, right, I think adoption would go much easier for the other jurisdictions.
Any other questions that we can answer? I'm sorry, Bharat, did you have one more?
Yeah, one more question. So we use
Sure.
OpenGL as a permit portal. So how much, does OpenGL need to be involved if we decide to go this route? And if so, to what extent?
Yeah, we recently just started talking, we're launching pilots with some jurisdictions that are on OpenGov right now. And so we're in the conversations with some folks at OpenGov to figure out the best way to set up the SolarAPP workflow in that system. And so far, those discussions have been going really well. And so I think it would be a relatively straightforward discussion in terms of getting you set up with SolarAPP in your current system.
So do you have a jurisdiction that is using OpenGov SolarAPP right now?
Not yet. We are about to pilot with 2 of them.
Okay.
Benicia, California is the one that comes to mind right now.
Okay, it sounds like a great effort. We are all for streamlining, our processes and making it, efficient as well as code compliant. And this seems to be the right way to do it. We just need to have that first jurisdiction jump in and get it done.
Well, we've had the involvement of U.S. Energy Secretary Granholm had a competition amongst municipalities. She announced it a few weeks back, trying to get as many municipalities to not necessarily just use it yet, but to demonstrate, to do a demonstration of the tool, which we met our goal that she set for us. I would say for OpenGov, there's actually a page on the OpenGov website in which they announce a partnership with SolarAPP, where they speak very highly about SolarAPP and how it can work with the OpenGov platform. So I think they are ready and willing because we've just been at this for a couple of months. I think in a sense they might be waiting for us to kind of put our foot on the pedal a little bit reach out to them, which we plan on doing. But I think it's terrific, and I know there's several OpenGov users on the call today. I congratulate all of you for taking the step for using a permitting tool, whether it's OpenGov or View Permit or Acela or whatever you selected to use it. We think that's terrific. And we'd very much like to partner with some of you to turbocharge the home solar aspect of all of that. I think as you go along, there'll be other industries will be perhaps reaching out to you to speed to more individualize the permitting of their particular sector, and we're excited to be one of the first ones to get going. So again, any of you on the call who would like to do a deeper dive on this with any of us, we're here for you, and I will reach out to all of you with our contact information so that if you'd like to reach back out to us, we can start a dialogue. Solar Connecticut will be and SolarAPP will be at some municipal events coming up in the future. You'll probably bump into us, but now is a good time to get a hold of us because we're ready and willing to put the resources and time into your municipality to help you understand how this could all work. Steve and Seth, anything else we need to pass along?
I just put my my contact information in the chat as well, just in case. But I think at the end of the day, I hope that the writing is on the wall in that this is a technology that is easy to adopt, relatively speaking. And once you've done that adoption, you've basically freed up a person in your office to do some other more impactful things for your particular city or town. And that, I think, is the most exciting part about this, is that we're not, this software is not replacing a person. It's not. At the end of the day, the people that are in permitting are very highly credentialed. They're usually extremely intelligent, and they've got a ton of work on their plate. What we are going to be doing is helping to remove a big chunk of that work and allow them to do other things for your AHJ that are impactful and that can be more revenue generating, basically enhancements for your particular town or city. And I think that that's going to be the exciting part, is that we've done something that should have been done a while ago, and now it's ready for prime time. We're going to help automate a system that can be done, and it should be, frankly. Seth, anything else?
No, that was great, Steve. I'd just like to, since we just kind of ended on the software conversation, so we did recently partner with OpenGov, and we also have active partnerships with Acela and Tyler Intergov and Central Square eTrackIt. So if any of your jurisdictions are on those, it would also be a relatively straightforward adoption there as well. And if your jurisdiction uses some other type of platform, we would just work with you on a case-by-case basis to get you all set up with SolarAPP. So just letting you know that that's not a huge barrier for us. It might be another step along the way to adoption, but we're more than happy to work with whatever system that you're on.
Chad, I think that's it. Unless Steve, we have something more, Steve?
Nope, that's it for me.
Chad, we thank you very much for pulling this together for us and giving us a chance to communicate with some of the folks at the local level.
Thank you all for sharing your perspectives and the work you've been doing. I'm certainly excited about SolarAPP after attending this webinar, and I bet many Connecticut municipalities are going to be as well.
We appreciate the opportunity, for sure. Thank you, Chad.
Good.
Thank you again for taking the time to come today.
Pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to all of our participants as well. Hope you enjoy your day.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Chad. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for taking the time to come and speak.
Oh, my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. You know, just I'm a resource. Anytime you need to reach out to us, please do so. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.